Explorer. You see, I have another video where I basically got the camera and did a walkthrough, and I'll link that above so that way you can see it if you want to, dive a little deeper into it, see the ins and the outs of this bag. But I just kind of wanted to talk about my experience using this because stuff like this, camera bags, you get all the hype videos to me when a company like Shimoda, Peak, or whoever, Peter McKinnon, and Nomadic release a bag and everybody gets hype around it. But sometimes we don't get reviews. And for this one, I haven't seen a lot of those reviews after using it for months. We just saw a lot of the hype videos from a few different content creators. So I want to dive into it because I've had this bag for 6 months and I think this thing still runs for like between $300 to $400. And that's a lot of money for a camera bag, especially if you're somebody like me where you just do this as a hobby and for fun. But you also want something good that's going to protect your equipment and that's also comfortable to wear. So we're going to dive into this really quick. I've been using it for 6 months now. I took it on a 16-day trip to Croatia, use it as my carry-on. I've been using this bag for 6 months now. I took it to Croatia with me on a 16-day trip where, I got some really, really nice footage and wore this bag all the time, almost every day. Almost all day is what it felt like because I always had my camera with me. So I figured right now would be a great time to discuss, how much I've loved it over these 6 months or how much I haven't loved it, what I've noticed, what I like, what I don't like about this bag. And as you can tell, it has got a lot of usage because you can see all that dirt that is on this bag. So as you can see, we open it from the back so you can view all your gear from this backside. And you see how these run up and down right here, right? So this is where you're going to be sitting your camera gear that way. You can't run it this way because these aren't going to be long enough. So it's got to run this way, right? So this is one thing I will say about this one is you can see how this is and how this lip goes up. So if you want to take up less room, right, you'd have to sit it in like this. And that's not going to work if you have a lens on it. It'll work with this camera, but not with a bigger, like a Sony and your lens or anything like that. So you're going to have to sit it sideways and take up all that space. You basically take up like half of this little square area, as you can see, right? It's going halfway across. And then you just have your lens here, and that's the way these are set up is going to mess with that. So the way I like doing it is putting it this way. But the problem when you put it this way is you can see where it's almost right up against that lip. I'll hold it flat. You can kind of see where this point kind of comes up right there. So it's like right at the edge there. So, depending on the camera size, it's going to come above that. If you sit it sideways like that, like I do for most of my gear, so that way my lens goes straight. So you put it in straight like that, like we talked about. And right, say you're going to use this area right here. I'm sure you will of, filters, whatever it might be. You throw it in there and it goes down and you try to close it. You see how that is? You're gonna have to stuff that down and then zip it closed. So it'll still zip closed, but you see how weird that is? So it makes it really hard to want to actually use this part for anything. I mean, you can throw your computer back here, but it's gonna do the same thing. It's always just gonna be awkward when you have something in there, depending on the size of it. And obviously, like I said, it's gonna depend on your camera size and your camera body and, you know, the way you set it up, how to use it. This might just be me nitpicking things. But the next one I'm gonna pull out and show you is this part right here. This side part is nice. You can just store something there. It's nice and cushiony. You have these little strap things right here. So if you wanna put, anything through there, you can. This little white part right here, you can slide a cable in, that part right there comes straight out of there. But here's the kicker. That's a great idea, but it's one of those things that it's kind of failed in execution. And the other thing I'm going to bring up is this. This is a raincoat to go over top of it at the bottom, so it's inconvenient because you got to take this out to get to it. I don't know about you, but I don't want to take this out if it's raining. You know what I mean? Like it just makes it a little more difficult. Like could have thrown it on the bottom right here and just had a little zipper down here and you pull it out. That's what a lot of the other bags that I've used, like Low Pro and stuff in the past, they have a little zipper down here and you just unzip it and pop it out, or you just take it out, right? Because it's just a little cushion, a little padding. You don't need to have it inside the bag. To me, having it inside the bag is just a little, doesn't make sense. But when you have this part in here, where's that cable gonna run to? You gotta have to like open it up and try to get your hand through here and pull the cable, which you can do. You can definitely reach your hand around or slide this down as much as you can and pull the cable through. It's just one of those, like maybe if there was, I don't know, a little hole, like, you know, right here, right on this side, right where my hand is, just a tiny little hole or something, and you can just slide it straight through there. A zipper, I don't know. I don't know. You put a zipper on this outside. I guess that makes it even more difficult. I don't know. I'm just throwing things out there that I could think of, but it does make it a little difficult to get to this part right here if you're supposed to run a cable through, because it's like right at the edge. They could have just put it up just a tad higher and ran it through the top part. It'd make it a lot easier. I know I feel like I'm talking really negative about this bag, but it is a nice bag. It's great on your shoulders. It's great to be able to walk around with, to go hiking with. It can hold, like I said, 2 tripods, 2 big water bottles if you need to. There's a lot of great perks to this bag. I mean, it does look good too, right? Because Comes in black. I believe it comes in a nice tan color if you want to. So there is some other things too, like this, this part right here. I get it because you can put stuff in there, but like it's also very inconvenient because depending on what you put in there, it's gonna slide down. And this back part right here on your back, oh, nice. Works perfect. Feels great on your back. Doesn't hurt, anything like that. These shoulder straps, you can tighten it, you can loosen it. I did not have an issue with anything but this one part right here. Look at this awesome view from my Airbnb in Havar. What I wanted to talk about was because of how hot it is here, this is something I noticed with this Urban Explorer. And you can see it's, I mean, it's a decent backpack, but if you're sweating, one of the things I noticed, and I don't know how well y'all are gonna be able to see this, but you see these lines right here. I don't know. I'm trying to get it so it's right, but you can kind of see these white lines. That's on my arm from wearing this. It's the first time it's happened with this bag on this whole trip. And I've been here about a week and it's been over 90 degrees. And it did it right here too. And I don't know what that's from. So that's kind of odd to me. In my opinion, that's just a weird thing to somebody just honked behind me. It's just a weird thing. I don't know what that's from, why that's coming off, but I haven't had it happen this whole trip till here. And I've never had it happen any other time either. Didn't happen back in the States at all when it was as hot and I used it all the time, but it's happening here. Maybe it's because I've been using it almost every single day for about a week, week and a half straight. Maybe it has something to do with that. I have no idea. But just keep that in mind that you might have something come off from this bag from rubbing too much or whatever it is. If anybody has any idea what that is, drop it below and let me know. But just keep that in mind when it comes to this bag that if you're out in the heat, you may get these weird white marks. And when you're going out to dinner, it's kind of awkward to have those on there, especially when, you know, maybe you don't have all the clothes with you because you're just day tripping or something like that. But like you can see it, like I said, it's a slick looking bag. This part right here is great. You know, you've got a little area to put some stuff, and this goes all the way down. Like you can see how far my arm goes down. And I do that in my other video that you should be watching after this one. But there is a little area in there that you can, you know, just slip an air tag in. People that will try to steal your bag or anything like that, they will grab it and run off the train quick while you don't even know what's going on or what to do, and they're gone, and you'll be able to track it down. So there's stuff that happens like that all the time. So throw an air tag in your bag. Even if you don't have a spot for it, just throw it in your bag. And then like down here, there's a nice little handle if you need it. So if it does rain, make sure you use that rain jacket because I was staying in Georgia before our flight and I did have an issue when I went from the car to the hotel. It was raining very, very hard. I'll say that right off the bat. I was just thinking, maybe I'm just going 30 feet. And I got to our hotel and I reached in here to grab something out of here. And this down part right here was wet. And I don't know about you, but that kind of bothered me because it was like, couldn't you be a little more water resistant? I mean, I had the zip closed and I had it like this, right? So that way, if the rain comes down, it just goes over top of that. I did have it like that, but you can see like sometimes those zippers do still show a little bit and a little bit's gonna get in there. It was just a lot more than I thought would get in there. And this handle on the side, that comes in very handy, right? You're just walking around traveling, holding this in your hand because you've got a baby in the other hand or whatever it is, or you have another bag on your back, whatever it is. This comes in very handy. So one of the last things I'm gonna jump into that doesn't really make sense to me is this part right here. You can put your hand in there, right? That's decent area. You want to throw clothes in there, anything like that, great. But there's this little tab on the front of it that actually, you know, is magnetic, which is great, right? But you see that? You see that little symbol? Do you want to know what that's for? That is a computer. So 14-inch MacBook, no problem. 16-inch, great. This is the part I don't get. Why is this on the front of your bag? It should be back here. It should be somewhere else. Because if you're going to have a bag that opens from the rear, and this is kind of like my biggest issue with this bag, everything else I can overlook because I really do enjoy using this bag. I think it's very light, very sleek looking, all that kind of stuff. Doesn't really look too much like a camera bag like ones in the past have, but when you have to open it from the back like this, right, to get to your gear, so I gotta sit my bag down like this. I'm not always gonna be sitting on my lap. If I have it, I'm gonna maybe sitting on concrete. What if I forget my MacBook's in there or anything like that? The chance of you going out on a shoot and having your MacBook, I don't know, but keep that in mind because like it does make sense. I gotta sit it down like that, and my MacBook's in there. That's why I carry it in this little strap here, right? So I don't know if it was designed that way on purpose. I have no idea the thoughts behind it. It is nice that it has an area to put your MacBook, but it's also nice that you can put it if you're traveling in here. Because like I said, I don't carry my MacBook with me unless I'm going on long trips and I'm going to empty my bag before I go out because I don't want that extra weight on me. But that's just one of those things that I just found weird when I got this bag. One thing I will say is these compartments up here too, really nice and roomy if you've got bigger things. But if you have smaller things like memory cards or anything like that, anything that's loose. Batteries, there's not like slots for batteries or anything like that. So if it's that size, you're gonna be able to put 2 or 3 batteries in one area, which is nice. But sometimes I like those little tiny pockets. It might just be me. I know I sounded really harsh and really critical, but the reason for that is because $300 of your hard-earned money for a camera bag seems like a lot, especially when you have these little issues. And I know I'm nitpicking on a lot of these because I'm going to continue to use this bag because I do really like this bag. It's light, it's nice to carry. I like the fact that it's got these straps on the side for my tripod. And I like the fact that it has this little area in the back that I can view my gear from. I hope this helped one of y'all out there that's possibly looking for a camera bag. And drop your comments down below. Let me know what you think of this camera bag, if you have this camera bag, issues you have, if you still want to keep it, if you're resold it, anything like that. Just drop it down below. Let me know what you think. And as always, thank you for watching and hit that subscribe button if you have a second.